This is Sunday Live with Jeff Koinange and Olive Barrows.
3.5 million, that is the number of youth between the ages of 15 and 34 that the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics says are unemployed, not undergoing education or training. Now, this data is from 2022, the quarterly report for the labor market, and that was for October to December of 2022. So tonight, our special coverage is on the unemployment crisis in Kenya. We are asking the question, what is your story? But before we get into all of that, Jeff?
I tell you, Olive, there is more. And this is the expenses by the Kenya Kwanza government. Look at these pictures. The picture on top is the old State House that we were used to for many years. Take a look at that. Right below it is the new State House. Guess how much it cost? We're talking 220 million shillings. And there's more. To refurbish all the state houses and state lodges across the country, it's cost Kenya government 751 million shillings, or 0.7 billion. Total, add up, if you do the math, it's about 1 billion shillings in the last 2 years or so.
That is right, and that is not all. Of course, it raises a question of austerity measures.
Absolutely.
What happened to those?
Well,
there are a lot of demands on our money.
Maybe we can ask our guest tonight, Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Aiden Dwale, is going to be live in the studios answering your questions. I'm
curious to hear what he has to say about his calls for Justin Muturi to resign. Shouldn't he be calling for accountability where abductions are concerned?
There you go. Start tweeting at Koinange Jeff.
At Barrows, at Citizen TV Kenya.
The hashtag is Sunday Live. Sunday Live begins right now.
Tonight.
Chaos at UDA event. A funds drive at Moy's Bridge disrupted as rival groups of local politicians clash.
Initially, I thought this was an isolated incident. However, the exact vehicle continued trailing me throughout Kitengela, making it clear this was a coordinated operation.
Afraid for their lives. Victims of abductions and their kin say they're being trailed by state agents.
Endless agony. Parents overwhelmed as they identify bodies of students killed in Voi accident.
The art of living large. Ruto's administration spends a $500 million shillings to renovate the Nairobi State House.
And welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yulanzale. Now, chaos rocked a funds drive at Moy's Bridge Township in Uasin Gishu County when supporters of Uasin Gishu Governor Jonathan B. clashed with those of Soy MP David Kiplagat.
The commotion erupted when Kiplagat criticized the governor over poor service delivery and neglecting Soy Township. Setholale has the details.
Trouble reportedly started after the arrival of Soy MP David Kiplagat. At a fundraising function for victims of a recent fire incident in Moy's Bridge Township, Uasin Gishu County. MP Kiplagat's supporters reportedly clashed with those of area Governor Jonathan B. and security personnel.
Uniformed officers, clear the stage.
The event momentarily stopped due to the chaos. Security officers engaged youths in a bid to restore calm.
Security, uniformed officers.
Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi and Governor Jonathan B were among attendees. Soy MP David Kiplagat, who is a perceived critic of the governor, accused him of poor service delivery to residents and neglecting the township.
Sasile governor afanyi kazi vizuri, si ati tunasema kwa ubaya, tunasema kwa ile jicho ambayo nimeona kama kiongozi ya Soy, haikufanywa vizuri. And that is why the Kapseret legislator, Oscar Sudi, who was the chief guest at the function, led a section of leaders in defending the governor.
Kama mimi ni mjumbe wa Wasingishu na niko na kasi ya kukuja hapa Soy, nitakuja, sitaomba mtu ruhusa. Unakubaliana? Kwa sababu tunataka kusaidia wananchi walitupigia kura bwana.
Sasa zingine tunaona wajumbe wengine wanazomea magavana kama watoto. Sisi sio watoto wenu. Let us be serious.
Sisi ni watu wa heshima na leo lazima tuonyeshe heshima yetu ama namna gani?
In Kakamega County, Governor Fernandez Baraza led local leaders in drumming up support for President William Ruto at a funds drive held at Sipande Primary School, Lugari. The leaders claiming that there is a scheme to politicize the functionality of the Social Health Insurance Fund.
Faruki Bet ambia Mheshimiwa Rais, sisi tunashukuru sana ile uongozi ambayo ako nayo ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Lakini kuna jamaa wengine ambao wanaitwa Team Divide Kenya, wakiongozwa na yule jamaa wa Mitego, yule jamaa wa Shares.
Wachaneni na wale wanatumana kutokea asubuhi mpaka jioni negative attitudes. Wale hawatakoma na wale hawatasifiwa. Wale kusifiwa ni wale wanafanya kazi.
We are not living in promises. Ruto si anatupatia. We can see the deliverables. Wewe kama unaagiza watu ni shauri yako.
In Nairobi, a section of leaders called for the complete revamping of the Social Health Insurance Fund, stating that outpatients are the most affected from the new rollout of the health scheme.
Unakuta akina mama uko kijijini, wakati wanaanza registration inachukua muda mrefu sana. Wengine hata simu inaisha moto katikati, unakuta hawana data.
The leaders spoke during a church service at the Priesthood Fellowship in Kahawa West. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Families of people abducted by alleged security operatives in the country now want the matter referred to the International Criminal Court, asking them to intervene on the issue. They also want the Inspector General of Police and the head of the DCI to be held personally culpable for the abductions and deaths of their kin.
That's right. Now, the families and former abductees also say they are now living in fear after receiving death threats and intimidation from security agents. They spoke in the face of the continued abductions, disappearances and murders in the country. We get more from our very own Brenda Wanga.
It was a gathering of victims of abductions and enforced disappearances. Those who were abducted, tortured and released, and those whose kin's bodies have been found after having been abducted. Both sets of people now afraid for their very lives.
On January 5th, 2025 at 6 a.m., I noticed a black Subaru Outback with a number KDP 044J with tinted black windows, black tinted windows, trailing me during my morning run in Kitengela. Alarmed, I sought for help from a security guard at a petrol station along Namanga Road. When I alerted the guard, the vehicle sped off. Initially, I thought this was an isolated incident. However, the exact vehicle continued trailing me throughout Kitengela, making it clear this was a coordinated operation.
I'm a brother to Justice Mutumwa.
Duncan, brother to the now deceased and previously abducted Justice Mutumwa, says he too has been a victim of threats and intimidation as he sought the truth about his brother.
I began receiving numerous threatening calls, including from 07, 14, 029, 334, 434, warning me to stop pursuing the case. The caller warned me that I would also be forcibly disappear. I soon realized I was being followed both on foot and vehicles, often at night, by individuals I strongly suspected they were security officers.
Duncan said the surveillance intensified days before the IG of Police Douglas Kanja and the Director of DCI Mohammed Amin were due to appear in court to brief the courts on his brother's whereabouts. Shortly afterwards, Justice's body was found at the Nairobi funeral home.
His forehead and deep cuts, his eyes had been pierced and his lips were cut. His wrist broke visibly marks indicating they had been tightly bound.
Kanyaga, Kanyaga.
Human rights bodies say these abductions and threats are geared towards silencing those who could provide crucial evidence against the state in the impending suits to be filed against it.
They are tired of security forces being used as instruments of oppression rather than protectors of the people. Every extrajudicial killing, every case of police brutality, and every act of state violence must be met with swift legal action.
Those sentiments echoed by ACK's Archbishop Ole Sapit, who now wants the government to move with haste and ensure the safety and security of its citizens.
And it is perturbing to hear the police saying they are not involved and they don't know who is doing it. So ours is to urge them, if it is not the police doing it, let then the police tell us who is doing it, because we can't live in a nation where those who are entrusted with the lives of Kenyans as securing are telling us they don't know what's happening. Every one life lost is a loss not only to the family, a loss to Kenya, and particularly when it is our young people.
The human rights organizations say over 80 people have been abducted since the anti-government demonstrations last year. 29 of these are yet to be found. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
All right, switching on to politics, and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka now says he is leading the process of collecting and documenting evidence which he will use to build a case against President William Ruto's government in the International Criminal Court over the recent spate of abductions in the country.
Speaking in Kimana, Kajiado County, the opposition leader castigated the government for abducting and killing critics, allegedly, promising justice for the families who have lost their loved ones. Kalonzo had earlier attended a church service at AIC Isinet Church, Kajiado.
Tuseme tunataka watoto wetu ambao wamenyakuliwa kinyume ya sheria watolewe wakiwa hai ama wakiwa wamekufa. Ndio tujue vile kufanya. Tunawapeleka hata kwa mahakama ya ICC na tunakusanya ushahidi wa kutosha. Hatuwezi kukubali Kenya iharibike. Hatuwezi. Na kwa hivyo ili nimalizie, nataka mjue tuko na nia kujiunga kabisa. Wale ambao wengine hamuoni hapa, baada ya mwezi mmoja mtasikia matangazo yetu. Matangazo. Tutaungana timu moja ya kupeleka Ruto nyumbani round 1.
Na hii mambo ya Subaru isiwasubue, hata Subaru itaondoka tu. Itakuja na yende. Kwa hivyo haina shida. Sasa tena tumezoea. Hata wakituweka kwa Subaru tutaendelea.
All right, joining us live in the studios to talk about this. In fact, he's going to talk about a lot of issues tonight, so he's going to be like our third anchor. Without pay. Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Aiden Duale. Karibu sana waziri.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Good to see you.
I was in Marsabit today and...
you in Marsabit today? You were in Cairo the day before?
I was in North Hall, I was in Marsabit town, I came back at 6.
Whew. Thank you for coming. Let's go straight to abductions. Was it? Come on, man. Come on. At last count, 25 people were still unaccounted for to date.
Yes.
What's going on?
And I think it's very, I mean, it's unacceptable, both as government and even the Constitution. But Jeff, let me make 3 things very clear. The President and the Kenya Kwanza coalition, if you look at our manifesto, end to extrajudicial killing, extrajudicial methods of dealing with Kenyans, was part of our manifesto. And President Ruto and ourselves don't believe in abductions. The President spoke not once, not twice, not thrice. The President even said, I want all Kenyans who their loved ones are missing to go and document it at the DCI on a national day. The President a number of times said, they're the institutions that are mandated by the Constitution. The Office of the Independent Oversight Police Authority, the Inspector General of Police, the Commission for Administrative Justice. These safeguards were created by the Constitution. And I want to remind Kenyans, if you remember, there was a pastor who supported Hitler, and later Hitler and the Socialist Party jailed him. And he said, when he went for the Jews, we didn't speak. When he went for the Socialists, we didn't speak. When he went for the trade unionists, I didn't speak. And then he came for him.
And on that note,
yes, and that's why I'm coming to it. That's why I'm telling you, in the last administration, where I served as a leader of majority, where Fred Matiang'i and many others and President Uhuru Kenyatta, thousands and thousands of people died. Majority, 70%.
Can you back that up with numbers?
Yeah,
with numbers?
Where'd you get those numbers? What do you mean thousands? What do you mean thousands?
42 you people showed on TV in Rivayala.
But where are the
16
thousands?
16 of them.
You say you've said thousands and thousands.
I can tell you, take a camera, walk in Mombasa, walk in Garissa, walk in Mandera, walk in Marsabit, walk in any city in this city, ask them, those who lost their loved ones during the last administration, to come out, they will feel Uhuru Park. I'm not justifying what's happening now. And that's why the President has been very, very firm.
If that is the case...
If there are members, if there's anybody within the security agency that is part and parcel of an abducting, that is not the position of the President.
Yeah, but that's not the
position.
That's not the point.
You say thousands and thousands in the last administration.
Yes.
Why, when you came into power, did you not make justice accessible for those who've lost their loved ones?
Let me ask you, let me tell you, this particular media house, in the last 10 years of President Uhuru, during President Kibaki, in all different extrajudicial killing, whether it's political, whether it's people who are being killed because of terrorism, people who are being killed because they are part of a gang in many of the gangs that are found in our cities. But many people didn't speak. And that's why I'm saying this thing of extrajudicial killing, why did we put it in our manifesto? We are the only political outfit in the last election who said, when we come to government, extrajudicial killing, abduction will be of the past. And I am telling you, watch this space. If there is any organ in government, that is involved in extrajudicial killing, I am sure the new Minister for Interior will find it.
Okay.
So
the Constitution does not provide. The Bill of Rights is against the human rights. And I'm talking as a member of Parliament in the 10th, 11th, and 12th Parliament, who I can document for you.
What is so wrong with Justin Muturi then speaking? You've just said when they came for so-and-so, we didn't speak. When they came for so-and-so, you know? So what is so wrong with Justin Muturi speaking out against abduction?
You have asked me a very good question. I'm one of the senior members in this administration. 22 members of that cabinet are very privileged to hold that position out of the 55 plus million Kenyans. We took an oath. We differ in opinion. We are the only ones who have an access to State House and to the President. The oath we took, if you internalize it, talks about advising the President. Am I right? I have more access than many people watching me as a cabinet. So we differ in subcommittees of cabinet chaired by the Deputy President. We differ on principle, on issues in the full cabinet. And if you give your opinion, but the final decision of the cabinet carries the day, the principle in any cabinet in the world is that you adapt and you abide by that decision.
Get to the point.
So what I'm saying is, my good friend, I've worked under him, and I've asked him, CS Muturi had the opportunity to bring even a substantive or an agenda. Every time we finish the cabinet, the President gives every cabinet, and he says, is there anybody with a very burning issue?
Are you saying CSS cannot speak in public about these issues?
No, let me tell you. You know, the provision of you being a cabinet is a constitutional provision. Ask me issues to do with the environment. If you ask me to do that, every cabinet minister and every principal secretary, every public officer working in government has a job to do. Many people resign from cabinet when they felt they want to chart their own.
So that's why you asked him to resign?
No, I'm telling you.
Wait, so are you saying?
Yes.
Why?
I will do that.
Why?
If I differ with President William Ruto, and I feel that I want to chart my own way.
But how has he differed with President Ruto? Are you saying President Ruto is for abductions?
No. I wanted him to bring all the concerns he has on abduction to the floor of cabinet.
Why can't he bring it in the public domain? It is happening in the public domain.
No. Let me tell you. CS Muturi is not like you. CS Muturi is among the few 22 privileged who sit at the highest decision-making organ of our country. You don't expect the IG to go public. You don't expect a minister to go public.
Okay, real quick. Buenos Dias. The story is
let me give you
Muturi's son was abducted, and he called the NIS, and he got no response.
Wait, did he call the president?
He eventually called the president, and the president called NIS, and NIS said, "We'll release your son in an hour." Imagine. If it wasn't, what if it is an ordinary Kenyan?
You know, that is one version of CS Muturi. And CS Muturi is a person I have a lot of respect for. I told you I've worked with him. The CEO of Royal Media Company, the editor of this station, will not go to Garissa. You have a cameraman, he doesn't go and issue things. Cabinet secretaries have a collective responsibility, and where they want to have a divergent view. And I might be talking to you. I have serious issues in the subcommittee of cabinet, in the main cabinet. There's a procedure of how you...
Many people watching tonight are asking, why aren't more cabinet secretaries speaking out against abductions? It's a very serious thing. We have people who are turning up dead.
In morgues.
No, let me tell you.
That we were told kidnapped themselves.
Let me tell you, and I'll repeat to you. The position of a cabinet secretary is a constitutional responsibility. The Constitution provides you with where to speak, when to speak, but you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't be in the opposition and be a cabinet secretary. You can't have your cake and eat it. And
but what is the bigger sin?
Can I finish? You can't have be a cabinet secretary, and talk to the president directly when you have an access. Jeff might not have the access, but you can't just tell the president. Why is the president in DRC? The president is chairing the meeting in DRC because he's the chairman of the East African community. But let me finish. Why is the president talking about the economy? Those concerns, if you have. Friday next week we have
but those are not the concerns he has raised.
Friday next week we have a cabinet. The other week we had a cabinet in Kakamega.
We'll get to that.
Muturi did not come.
I'm listening to you and I'm hearing you say, are you saying that protocol trumps constitutionality?
Exactly.
Jeff, you know me.
Look.
No, Jeff, you know me.
I know you.
You have hosted me
several times.
15 years ago was when you started hosting me.
Correct. When you were
I don't go inside.
When you were young, 30-something year old. But let me ask you this.
I don't go inside.
When will abductions end? Because even the cartoonists, come on, man, caricatures. Have you ever been caricatured yourself? Have you ever been in a cartoon?
Many times. Many times.
What's wrong with the caricature?
Many times you guys have put me on headlines.
So what's the big deal?
The big deal on what?
On arresting, abducting, killing.
I told you, you asked me about the position of government and the position of the president. And you yourself have heard a number of times. On a national day, the president said, no abductions, and I really want to ask Kenyans who have lost their loved ones to go to the DCI and record. He has asked a number of times. And I'm telling you, if there's anybody in government...
They have gone.
No, they haven't.
They have gone. How many times has the Inspector General of Police, the DCI, been summoned to court?
And they never go.
And they don't go.
No, Jeff. The one of the IG going to court, the one of the DCI going to court is different from the question you have asked me. I'm telling you, the president says he is the custodian of the Constitution. He swore in. He asked, if you have lost your loved ones, please go to the DCI register.
IPOA, the IPOA that was there prior, because you're telling them IPOA should handle this and all that, you know, threatened at one point to take the IG, the command of the police, to court because they said the investigations were being frustrated. They have expressed concerns about not having resources. If you were serious about this,
no. Even the new IPOA,
would there not be adequate resources and access?
The old IPOA has not gone with the file. Transition happens in government and in commissions. Please call the new chair of IPOA. Let them show the file to the people of Kenya. You know, Jeff, I'm seeing, even those who are calling for a commission of inquiry. Fine. Let us do. There was a commission of inquiry that goes back to this period, that all Kenyans are told who have lost their loved ones to come. You know, we don't want to use the lives of Kenyans who lost their loved ones, that issue of abduction, to be a political gimmick. I mean, people should, I think, should value the sanctity of life.
All right. CS Aiden Dwale, environment, climate change, forestry. Stay there. Don't move.
I am not
because we're going to come back and talk about the State House refurbishments in this era of austerity measures.
My friend,
do you mean austerity measures?
Austerity.
The problem is
no.
I don't move. You know that. But we have one of the most beautiful State House now. Once it's complete, maybe
let's take a look at Sam Gituki's report first. And tonight, it has emerged that President William Ruto's administration has, over the last 2 years, spent more than £500 million. Remember reading those numbers?
That's right.
To renovate the Nairobi State House and 8 other state lodges around the country. The renovations are part of a 12-year plan that will cost the taxpayer more than 10 billion shillings. The Nairobi State House has undergone radical architectural changes in what has been greeted with mixed reactions by Kenyans. Citizen TV's Sam Gituku has been going through the numbers and now reports on what State House renovations have cost so far.
In January 2024, the main building of the Nairobi State House closed down for renovations. President William Ruto shifted his workstation to the newly built pavilion, hosting cabinet meetings, visiting heads of state and high-level dignitaries. Some of the engagements have been hosted at state lodges across different parts of the country. Last week, as the president hosted the Guinea-Bissau president, images emerged of the new-look State House. The previously hipped roof of terracotta tiles that has weathered decades is no longer visible. Experts observe that the roof could have been enhanced to have a prominent parapet, meaning a vertical wall that runs along the roof line. In the old-look house, the red tile roof was prominent, replete with chimneys. It is not clear now if the chimneys have been maintained. The old-look building had two drive-through entrance porches, the left one being the main entrance, usually used by the president and his guests. The one on the right serving as a secondary entrance to the symbolic powerhouse. Atop the left porch stood the presidential standard and the East African community flag, while the one on the right carried the national flag. The two porches are now gone, replaced with a single central porch, creating some form of a drop-off point and a canopy. The roof appears extended, with new columns erected all through the driveway, either to support the enhanced roof or for aesthetic value. This is the second time in just over 2 years that State House Nairobi is undergoing major works. In late 2022, a few months after President Ruto ascended to the office, State House Nairobi was renovated with a new coat of paint and a cabro surface for the front courtyard. The new tenant knocked off the more than a decade-old wooden pavilion, replacing it with a new state-of-the-art pavilion with meeting rooms.
After bilateral meetings, we will now have a joint press briefing.
According to the Control of Budget, there is a 10.7 billion shilling plan to refurbish State House and state lodges over a period of 12 years, ending in June 2027. As of September 2024, 3.3 billion shillings had been sunk into the project. The Nairobi project has been valued at 1.7 billion shillings. By September 2024, 775 million shillings had been spent, representing a 44% completion status. Records of the Control of Budget show that no money has been spent between June 2024 and December 2024 following the budget cuts instituted by the President after the withdrawal of Finance Bill 2024. Still, works continued, resulting to the new-look State House. There is a chance that there are pending bills to the project that are yet to be declared. In the financial year 2022-2023, ending June 2023, State House spent 59.8 million shillings, possibly on the initial works under President Ruto. In the financial year ending June 2024, State House paid 160.4 million shillings for the major refurbishment, yielding a total of 220.3 million shillings so far reported. President of the Architectural Association of Kenya, Florence Nyole, says, quote, "The renovation has ended up being a redesign and takes away from the recognition of State House as Kenyans know it." President Nyole says that public buildings that require renovation should be listed with the national museums and should undergo public scrutiny before being worked on. End of quote. But the broader plan has seen the Mombasa State Lodge take away over 311 million shillings on refurbishment of the main house and the fence under President Ruto. The Nakuru State Lodge has cost 116 million shillings in the same period. Eldoret State Lodge has cost 36.7 million shillings, Kisumu 10.3 million shillings, Sagana 30.8 million shillings, Kakamega 15.9 million shillings, Kisii 9.8 million shillings, while Mutito Andei has cost just over 220,000 shillings to refurbish the buildings there. Over the 2 years, the development expenditure of State House has been a total of 2.9 billion shillings against a requirement of 3.7 billion shillings. But the budget financing requirements for the 9 State House and Lodges projects is way higher at over 7 billion shillings, the July 2024 budget cuts standing in their way. Sam Gituku, Citizen TV.
My goodness, so much money.
So beautiful.
Are you kidding me?
It's not 10 billion.
I personally...
Oh, it's more.
No.
It's probably more.
No, some get...
Okay, no, hold on. Waziri, we're going to give you a chance to answer because those numbers just don't add up.
You're not the auditor general.
What doesn't add up, the numbers or the design?
Well, that too.
Both you are not architects, two, you are not from the office of the auditor general.
We've heard from the Architectural Association of Kenya.
Let's take a break. We're going to come back, speak more with Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Aiden Dwala. He's in the house. He's our third anchor. He's taking your questions and ours. Can he take the heat?
Of course.
Keep tweeting at Kwenange Jeff.
At Burrows, at Citizen TV Kenya.
At Aden Duale.
The hashtag is Sunday Live. Yeah. Sunday Live takes a break. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
And if they go there, they will see my book. That's all that I've pinned.
Coming up, we tell you how youth are turning to content creation owing to a shrink in job opportunities.
Mabrother, chekini story fulani la penjuzi mtani record manze.
Lakini bro, kazi itakuwa tu ni kujaza simu na hizi mavida.
Ai, kujinice tu kaka.
Mwananchi ndani huyo anarada medalia pesa.
Leta tenje ni kusho vile tutaomoka. Citizen Digital wako na platform fulani kwa site yao inaitwa Wananchi Reporting. Hapa unaweza tuma story yako kwa website yao ama kwa app yao ya Citizen Digital. Na kama hiyo process ni ngumu, unaweza tuma story kwa email yao, WhatsApp number ama uitumie kama SMS.
Alafu gani napataje bro?
After story yako imepublishiwa, hapo ndo una receive 1000 kwa simu yako.
Bro, au umenichanua.
Don't just witness the news, be part of breaking it. Download the Citizen Digital app and share your story with Wananchi Reporting today. Citizen Digital.
Your Asian adventure awaits na View Travel. Ready to explore? Dive into the vibrant energy of Thailand, stroll through Singapore's dazzling streets or unwind on Bali's pristine beaches. Discover the rich cultures of Malaysia and Vietnam, the serene beauty of Laos and Cambodia, or the innovation and tradition of Japan and China. Whether for leisure, learning or business, unforgettable experiences await. Tembelea Asia na View Travel. Visit viewtravel.com, call or WhatsApp 0703-254-254. View Travel. Dream, explore, discover.
Buroti maguta, keja kwa mtaa mambo fiti. Nafungua bahasha wao nikismile, mambo ni murwa, kop imesota. Shikie keda, biza maplot, nikasip tu. Kaniflota mboka, retiko top, nikasip tu.
Just a payslip. Get a mobile loan of up to 500,000 shillings or an unsecured loan of up to 9 million shillings. Visit a Cooperative Bank branch today. Cooperative Bank. We are you.
When your kids learn to share, you're giving them a great start. Prestige Margarine. It all starts with a great start. Now comes in the original and vanilla flavor.
Stubborn stains, Classic Detergent Powder inakuja na suluhisho rahisi. Inatoa uchafu kwa urahisi, gentle kwa mikono na unaipata kwa bei nafuu. Usiwachwe nyuma. Choose Classic. Ng'ara na Classic.
It is exactly 38 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Sunday Live here at Citizen Television. You saw that story before the break about the costs of refurbishing State House Nairobi and other state lodges and state houses across the country. It's a lot of money. CS for Environment, Climate Change, Forestry, Aiden Dwala is here trying to defend his government, and he says it's a beautiful thing. Come on, man. Come on, let's be serious.
Of course I'm serious. That's what
and he asks that because...
And, Jeff, number one, I really want to say that media houses and media practitioners, which I have a lot of respect for, including this station, you must get your facts right before you air. You know, you can't be like a media that whatever it says must be factual and accountable.
What facts
There's
do we get
nothing
wrong?
like 10-point-something billion to refurbish State House. And the accounting officer of State House is the control of State House. He appears before the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Security. That committee presents it to the Budget Committee, chaired by Ndindi Nyoro. It's audited by the Office of the Auditor General, independent. So it's not 10-point-something billion to start with. Secondly...
Over a period of time?
No.
Over a period of time?
No, I can only speak for the period of President William Ruto's occupancy at State House.
Okay, so that 220 million.
So the 10 billion is not necessarily
to put a flat roof
not
on State
factual.
House.
No.
220 million.
No, you know, I can, if you allow me, I can ask State House controller to take you on a tour. It's not about a roof. And let's not trivialize the seat of the president, the seat of government, the face of the republic in the eyes of high dignitaries who come. Unfortunately, let me finish.
What was wrong with the old one?
No, let me finish.
No, before we even get there.
Jeff, you have not been to the old one.
I have been to the old one.
You have not been to the new one, both of you.
How do you know?
No, you have not been. I mean...
How do you know?
How do you know?
You are not architects. You are not engineers. You have not been given the opportunity.
Okay, let me phrase the question.
State House is not a place you can just walk in, but let me finish, if you allow me. So State House is the face of the republic and the seat of power to distinguished heads of state and government. And the other opportunity you don't have is you have not traveled to other countries, including Tanzania. There are new State House in Dodoma. You have not been there. You have not been to outside countries. I have just returned with the president from Egypt. If you see Egypt, even let me pick Tanzania, the new State House. So 10 point-something billion, your reporter should tell us, did he got it from the budget?
He says controller of budget. He got it from the controller of budget.
No, let me tell you.
Those are facts.
No.
And facts...
He didn't pick the figures out of thin air.
Facts are stubborn.
The controller of budgets don't deal with expenditure. The controller of budget approves payments. Budget committee. If you are saying the auditor...
And Sam was clear. He said, this is the plan. He said 3.3 billion, I think, is what has been spent so far.
Olive, if you allow me, because I'm the third anchor. If you allow me to finish. So, you have not been to State House, even the one of the Dodoma?
Have you?
I have been.
No, but...
I mean, that's why I told you...
I'm finding it insulting that you automatically assume we have not been.
I am a member of the 22 privileged cabinet secretaries. I don't know whether I'll be there tomorrow. The president can relieve anybody he wants. But Jeff, as a country, the new State House does not belong to William Ruto. It's not his home. It's for posterity. It's for other presidents. You're not accusing the president that he's building his own private home. If the next election, there'll be a new president, or the other election, there'll be a new president, the way President Moi found Kenyatta, he added a bit of that State House. President Kibaki didn't touch it. You know the reasons very well. President Uhuru did not much. And you want the State House to be a house that foreign dignitaries and heads of state and government who come to our country.
But let me ask you.
You see, now I'll give a good example.
No,
when people now land,
let me interject. You've made the point that it looks good, people love it.
For me to
but this is it. You've mentioned Tanzania and all that, but this is Kenya. Our circumstances are unique. Only last year, we had protests. After new taxes were introduced by the finance bill. Austerity measures were then announced. Renovations to the office. Do you remember there was all this furore over renovations and cars for the DP's office? And austerity measures were announced that will not happen. Furniture will not be bought. What else? New cars will not be bought. So is this a priority when you're asking us to pay more taxes because you're telling us we have debt to pay? Why was this a priority?
Okay, then wait, I answer you. And you know, I've told this man many times, let's have a discussion that the Kenyan people will benefit. As we sit here, there is necessary measures in my office. There are certain things the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry will not spend anything on. But we are still building roads. We are still providing water. Still health must continue. This is a development budget. When the president is going, for example, to Sagana State Lodge, the Ministry of Public Works will go and access. This State House, the first time I sat in the cabinet, and I've gone round, it was supposed to have this facelift, not even during President Uhuru Kenyatta. It should have had a second and third facelift during President Kibaki.
Yeah, but now is not the time.
No. I told you, this is a development budget. What we don't want to spend too much money on is those that are not very important to the citizens.
Which is a state house with a flat roof.
The seat of government.
Oh, come
I
on.
want to repeat you.
Okay,
and
look.
the seat of the president is the face of the country. It's like the airport. Okay. It's like this. Since we built the expressway,
okay,
there's a different story
By the way,
about
the controller budget has access to all budgets. You know that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, you're disputing the 10 billion shillings that Sam Gituko has put forth as the entirety of the budget, right, for this facelift.
Right.
So what are your figures? You're disputing it on what basis?
That's what I'm saying. What came to cabinet? It's not the 10 billion you're talking about.
Well, how much? Tell us, how much?
I am sure it's not more than about 2 billion.
Good Lord.
Based
I am
on-
telling you. I'm telling you.
Who presented that in cabinet?
I told
Somebody
you.
must have tabled that.
Every budget, every accounting officer, Olive, I'm repeating to you 10 times, the accounting officer of State House is the controller of budget, or the controller of State House. He appears before his relevant committee in National Assembly or National Security. That is again presented to the Budget and Appropriation Committee chaired by my good friend Nindi Nyoro. Then it goes to the floor of the House. It's a public document. It's not something you can pick from the streets that Aden Duale is renovating his office in NHIF for 2 billion. No.
Let me ask you this, Ozzy, real quick. You know, the State House, which used to be known as Government House back in the day, right? Is a very historical...
During the colonial.
Right. It's a very historical building. Who is the architect? Do we know the name of the architect and who got the tender? Who got the tender? Yes, of this flat roof.
You know, I don't want to go into procurement because I'm not the accounting officer, but the architect in State House and the engineers are from Kenya Defence Forces. Yes.
And who approved
You
the
cannot
design?
allow...
KDF is the one who's...
Of course, State House is a security, is the seat of the president.
Yeah, but who's the architect?
The architects are architects of the Kenya Defence Forces.
Who approved the flat roof?
It's a part of the design.
No, but who approves the design? Because you see, State House...
The controller of State House.
But
He's an accounting officer.
Okay, but State House ni yetu yote. Sisi wote.
No,
Si nyumba ya mtu mmoja.
Now you
so,
know. Olive,
we feel like we didn't
Olive,
gotta say.
Olive, State House and sisi yote. Like, don't be very casual. So you want us to tell me if today I want to build the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change headquarters, I should go in the street.
You know very well,
The
those two are
procedure,
not the same.
The procedure, if you read the PFM Act and the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, if you read it and internalize the procedure of how that renovation, how government must procure goods and services, is well documented.
Yeah,
the tendering process.
But you know
So
the
you should-
historical significance of State House is not the same as an environmental headquarter.
No, what is historical? I thought,
Of State House.
you know,
It's a historical
I thought
building.
it looks better than it before.
You think that?
That's your thoughts.
I don't.
Those are your thoughts.
Those are your thoughts, not the thoughts of
You know,
Kenyans.
but when a national dress is concerned, when we are considering a national dress, there is public involvement.
Yes.
Now this
You are
is
co-
State House. There was, where is the public involvement?
I don't want to say pedestrian, but the building of the seat of government is anchored, including State House. Whatever that will happen in the Ministry of Environment and building of State House all are anchored in the public procurement and asset disposal, and the various categories that you can use. And Parliament and its committees have interrogated that budget.
Okay.
So, but what Olive is telling me is that State House says what and deal.
Yes.
Then what is the essence of government? Government that the people of Kenya elect every 5 years is supposed to follow the law, the Public Procurement and the PFM Act on behalf of the people. You know, you're treating this thing very casually. Olive.
I'm not.
No,
I'm very sorry.
I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed.
I am very disappointed.
I am disappointed.
The day that you are not allowed access to State House, what utajua?
No.
No.
The first time I accessed State House was when President Kibaki was in office.
Right, I know.
And my friend, I am cognizant of, and my conscience is very clear, a time will come
and
when I'll not access.
Yes. You say it's pedestrian, what we are saying, but the Architectural Association of Kenya has made the same point. Because you keep saying we are not engineers and we are not architects. But the Architectural Association of Kenya made the same point.
Let me repeat again. Everything that we do, including building of State House, is anchored in law. It's not it's not something pedestrian. It's not in the streets. And that's why the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget and other agencies, including EACC, will use the law where applicable to see if money was lost.
Yeah.
Let me finish. If money was lost, if a proper work was not done. So State House is not different. State House is a government house, is a government institution.
Or if money
the
was,
highest seat of the presidency.
Okay. Or if money was stolen, but we'll find out later on.
No, wait for the Auditor General's report.
Okay. CS Dwale, we're going to take a break.
Not a break. No, we're just transitioning. Remember that figure he talked about?
Cost of living. Watu wanaumia pana.
Unemployment.
Watu wanaumia.
Let me tell you, Jeff.
Ngoja. Cheza bumper. All right, now unemployment among the youth has been described by President William Ruto and his predecessor as a ticking time bomb. Both governments have attempted various interventions with the affordable housing program, the most debated. And while Ruto's government is now pushing the labor export agenda, it is a widely accepted principle world over that job creation should be largely driven by private sector, with government responsible for creating a conducive business environment.
While the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics reported a 4.1% growth in formal sector wage employment and a 4.5% growth in informal sector employment, but that was in 2023, the Federation of Kenya Employers paints a bleak picture of the 2024 business environment. FKE putting the number of Kenyans who've been declared redundant that they've been notified of between 2022 and 2024 at 5,567. The real figure is much higher. This has, however, been disputed by the Central Organization of Trade Unions. CMC Motor's announcement that it plans to shut down its operations in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania is the latest to spark fears of redundancy. Prior to that, there was Base Titanium and G4S, to name a few. In a country where 3.5 million youth are unemployed and not in education or training, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, this sparks fear. While the government is focused on creating employment opportunities abroad,
National employment, mimi ni chairman na kazi yangu ni kuhakikisha kwamba vijana wamepata kazi huko nje.
The Federation of Kenya Employers has sounded the alarm that the private sector is shrinking.
And this included low demand, liquidity constraints, rising costs, challenging tax regime, frequent legislative changes, a shrinking market, and a loss of competitiveness. These challenges have strained employers, reduced productivity, and hindered job creation. And they have also led to redundancies, closure of businesses.
The Federation of Kenya Employers putting the number of companies, its members, that have declared redundancies in the last 3 years at 57, and the number of Kenyans affected at 5,567.
This totality of factors has made it very difficult for employers to maintain the numbers of employees that they had. And I think it's also been in the public domain that more companies than I've talked about have exited this market.
That is propaganda of the highest order to instill fear in our negotiators when it comes to renewing terms and conditions of service. And 50 companies or several companies to move out of Kenya, you will know.
FKE has made several recommendations to the government to improve the business environment, including an end to the raid on pay slips.
The employers appeal to the government not to introduce any new taxes that could burden businesses and increase payroll deductions.
Currently, the statutory deductions are being pegged on total earnings. Previously, it was pegged on the basic pay.
Other recommendations include honouring of collective bargaining agreements, among other measures.
Also ensuring timely payment of bills, including clearance of pending bills, strengthening accountability and transparency in budget making and execution to curb waste, fraud, and abuse.
The unemployment crisis continues to cast a shadow on the lives of thousands of Kenyans in the country. Coupled with the rising inflation and harsh economic times, the lack of job opportunities is driving Kenyans to the brink of depression.
That's right. Now, hundreds of graduates are now calling on the government to provide alternative, including affordable loans to struggling youth to start small businesses. Our very own Njoroge Gatete spent a day with unemployed Kenyans and brings us the harsh reality of life without a job.
Along the busy Waiyaki Way near N Market, three friends are engaged in a deep conversation. This has become a daily morning routine for them. They huddle together and converse in low tones, the issue of unemployment topping their discussions. For the last 1 week, they have been among scores of people who gather outside this gate of an events company that employs casual workers on a daily basis.
Hii ndio siku yangu ya 5 kukuja. Nimekuja kwa hii wiki yote but sijafanikiwa. Hata leo nilikuwa nimekuja tu nijaribu nione kama watanichukua but sijaingia. Sasa naona sasa sina otherwise ila tu nirudi tu kwa nyumba.
Tunakuja hapa kutafuta kazi lakini unaweza bahatika ama ukose. Lakini for now hakuna kubahatika.
Jane Wanjiku, a single mother of 2, has been jobless for the last 2 months. She was laid off from a company in Lavington late last year after her employer also fell off owing to harsh economic times. A turn of events that saw her join thousands of Kenyans relying on casual labor to eke out a living. With 2 children to support, she resorted to menial jobs to fend for her offspring.
Mi utoka hapa saa 3:30 nikienda kwa nyumba. Ukaa tu hapa hata nikipigia marafiki zangu mwenye ako na kibarua anipee. Kajane nilikuja nikapata mwenye ako na kibarua akanipea kufua. Kasema hata kama kuna mvua wacha tu niende nijikaze juu natafutia tu manze watoto. Kumekuwa tu kungumu hata huyo wa junior secondary kuingia shule.
Their scramble to get picked to work and earn a day's wages is unsuccessful. Dejected, they walk away, not sure how they will put a meal on the table for their children, but hopeful that tomorrow will be a better day and Lady Luck could smile down on them. Wanjiku welcomes us to her one-roomed house in Kangemi, where she lives with her 2 children, a girl in grade 7 and a little boy in grade 2. It is hope that keeps her trying every day.
Sasa hadi kesho nitaendelea tu, nitaenda bado kujaribu. Na sasa nasikia tu wanachukuanga tu watu kidogo.
Wanjiku says unemployment leaves her with no option but do any work that comes her way as long as it provides for her family of 3.
Nikiweza pata kazi, mwanzo ni chakula, alafu watoto wasome. Watoto wakishasoma, alafu tena hii life bado hata kulipa nyumba. Naweza penda tena nilipe nyumba. Mahali hata landlord ameniambia tu lipia tu hapa, nalipa tu. Nisikue tu ati disappoint.
It is yule mtu anajiweza kusaidia mtu. Hata mwekea hata biashara, at least hiyo itakusaidia. Kabla ya hiyo vibarua unaenda unarudi, usipopata tena unarudi.
Wanjiku's appeal to the government is to avail funds to empower struggling youth to earn a decent living in the face of the hard economic times. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, you've heard the saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Well, thousands of graduates are turning to modern technology to make a living online.
Our reporter Willie Lusige has been talking to these young people about the challenges they face in finding jobs and how they're using digital platforms to create opportunities after losing hope of traditional white-collar jobs.
For years, graduation ceremonies have symbolized success and hope for families across the country. Graduation used to signal the beginning of a successful career, but for many recent graduates, this has become a distant dream. Unemployment is widespread, and in many cities, young people are turning to online platforms for work. They often create content like photography or dance videos. What's surprising is that many of these young people hold university degrees. In Kisii County, we meet 24-year-old Ogeto Enoch, a film studies graduate. The lack of formal jobs has pushed him to seek alternative income online.
Tumejaa kama graduate hapa nje. Tuko wengi like hakuna kazi. Ukipata msee like everybody outside here like unamuuliza yo budo umefanya aje, niko na madegree natafuta kazi, hakuna kazi.
Other young people are also on the streets with the same goal, to earn a living.
Nilifanya Bachelor of Commerce lakini ni specialize na accounting. Street photography tumeamua ku take advantage sababu sahi employment iko jobs, hatuna jobs.
You go live on TikTok, you receive gifts. Those gifts are exchanged into money that you withdraw, then you use it in your daily issues.
While many still hope for 9-to-5 jobs, TikTok influencer Edwin Enoch Otieno has found success on the platform. He is a third-year student at JKUAT, but his TikTok earnings sometimes exceed the pay of a regular full-time job.
Iliingia nikachukua hiyo nika-optimize. Yeah, nikanunua kamera yangu ya kwanza. I realized there is a niche here. There kuna possibility ya to make money out of this. As I made content, other people wanted to make content.
Edwin creates videos for clients and works with dancers who pay him for his content.
Kila mtu anasema it's flooded, job market iko flooded. It's true.
It's not just Edwin. Thousands of graduates and students are turning to online platforms after failing to find formal employment. Team Blaze Kenya is a group of dancers on TikTok earning gifts from their followers, which they convert into cash.
We started this group, that was last year, August. Yeah, so sisi tuna dance. Apart from dance, pia tunafanya other contents here.
Na watu walinitumia gift sana, ilienda highest ilikuwa 296k peke. 96k.
Social media, you can use it like in very many ways. It's not only about dancing. Like you can do a lot of things in social media.
This trend highlights how many young graduates are giving up on traditional jobs and embracing online work as their main source of income. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV.
As majority of Kenyan youth grapple with unemployment, forcing some to fly abroad and try their fate in Western and Arab countries, back at home in Moyale, and that is at the Kenya-Ethiopia border, it is a bizarre tale of where Konso youths from Ethiopia cross the Moyale border every dawn to the Kenyan side in search of casual labor.
And then later in the evening, the determined youth have to cross the border again back to the country for the night vigil as they hope for a better tomorrow. Citizen TV's Boniface Baraza visited the Moyale border town and brings us this heartwarming story of the Konso youth.
Konso, yeah.
It is early morning at the Kenya-Ethiopia Moyale border point. Business is slowly picking up for the day. Among those clearly visible here are these young men. In groups, they troop into Kenya from Ethiopia in search of employment. Armed with only their skill and their bottles, they stake out prime locations within Moyale town. Roundabouts are their favorite places to search for work. These are the Konso boys, as they are locally known. They provide casual labor daily for Kenyan employers.
Naitwa Bekala. Alafu wanasema huku hii ndio njia wanakuja kufanya kazi, hapa ndo wanakaa kufanya kazi, wakutafuta kazi ya mkono.
Gapino Edama is among the tens of Konso youths who cross the Moyale border every day. Today is his lucky day. He gets a job soon after crossing the border to try their luck in search of manual jobs on the Kenyan side. We trail him to his employer of the day, where he will earn his day's wage.
Nimefanya kazi miaka 20 na nimenisaidia kulea watoto wangu. Niko na watoto 4 na kila asubuhi huwa ninakuja asubuhi, natafuta kazi, nikibahatika kama ya leo, hivyo ndo narudi na najisaidia nayo. Huko kwetu kazi ni nadra, ndo manake tunakuja upande huu wa Kenya.
The Konso youth work tirelessly to satisfy the demands of their employers. And when they take their break, they replenish their energy with their traditional meal that they carry with them across the border. This delicacy known as borde can be compared to Kenyan traditional liquor, common with Western Kenyan people, dubbed busa. What is the essence of this drink?
Hii tunachukua, tunatembea naye, ni chakula yetu. Hatukuli chakula ingine hapa Kenya. Hii chakula inatusaidia, inatupatia nguvu. Ndio tunafanya kazi vizuri, then jioni ikifika tunarudi nyumbani na pesa na kitu ambacho tunaweza faidi watu wetu. Hii chakula inaitwa borde. Ni kama busa.
With every sunrise rekindling hope for Konso youths to cross Moyale border from Ethiopia to Kenya in search of casual labor, the question that lingers to many is why do Kenyans prefer Konso casual laborers?
Sababu ya kwanza, hawabagui kazi. Sababu ya pili, pesa kwa siku ni 600, ni cheap labor. Sababu ya tatu, hawakuli chakula zetu, wanakuja na hii pombe yao inaitwa borde na wanasema inawasaidia kupata. So kazi za nguvu wako sawa kabisa, wako na bidii pia na ni waaminifu.
Every sunset is a call to them to cross the border back to Ethiopia with hope to try their luck the next sunrise. Boniface Barasa, Citizen TV, Moyale, Kenya-Ethiopia border, Marsabit County.
All right, you saw those several stories, everything from unemployment to folks trying to survive in this environment. We still have our third anchor, CS Aiden Duale, Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, in the house. Kenya Kwanza government had made so many promises, especially when it came to employment. And there's so much disappointment.
We have made many promises. We are implementing most of it. Some we have already achieved the fruits. And if you allow me, we said we are going to stop what is called consumer subsidy and go to production subsidy. Today, that's why Kenya is sugar sufficient. We're about to export it. Our factories are working. That's why we're not going to import maize, because our farmers got cheap fertilizer. Production was subsidized, unlike the previous administration. And that's why the fuel price that we found when we took over government 2.5 years ago is now lower by about 40%. That's why the same unga price that was 270 is now at the range of about 120. That's why inflation is at 3% since independence.
But unemployment,
let me finish.
Employment is unemployment.
Let me finish. I'll come to it. It's a time bomb, you said. So I want to have it the last. So that's why for the first time, we're the only country in sub-Saharan Africa that the dollar to the shilling was at 663. Today is at 129. Today, any of our private sector players can find hard currency. Our dollar reserve is at its best. This is the administration we promised to employ teachers. 76,000 teachers have been employed the last 2.5 years. A mark in history no administration has done. Since we came to power in 2.5 years ago, Kenya has become more secure. No incidents of terror, tell me. Even the North Rift that you have interviewed me a number of times. Today, if you go to Tiati, you go to any part of Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, many have been done. The affordable housing, the 4 big. This affordable housing was in President Kibaki's program. At some stage, and you asked, bring Charity Ngulu here. She was the Minister for Health. David Muraria told her, drop it. We can't do it. President Uhuru Kenyatta had 4 items: affordable housing, universal health care, and many, many others. He couldn't finish. Our administration, we know in our implementation, we'll face some headwinds. But I can assure you, we are ready to take the consequences, and 5 to 10 years later, Kenyans, let me ask you a good example. Everybody, including you sitting here, we access mortgages. Am I right?
Yeah.
What's wrong if a government, and Jeff,
yes, you're taking us in another direction.
No, I'm coming.
Let me bring you back.
I told you.
Let's talk numbers. When this government came into office.
Olive, you've asked, Jeff has asked me, the promises you have made.
Yes. As regards unemployment.
One of the promises was 4 million jobs by the president.
If you allow me.
4 million.
If you allow me, because you said the promises, I've already told you. Universal health care. Today, since NHIF was in place for 50 years, I think, it was a place for the privileged. It was only 12 million Kenyans were registered. In, I think, 1 year, the Taifa Care has registered 18 million Kenyans. Today, I am paying 39,000 NHIF contribution. I used to pay 5,000. Why am I paying extra 34,000? I am paying extra 4,000 to cater for Kenyans who access level 2 and level 3 health facilities. But let me come to unemployment. Employment, as you said, during President Uhuru, it was a ticking bomb. Am I right?
Ticking time bomb, yeah.
Same with Kibaki. Same with President William Ruto. What has William Ruto administration? It was in our manifesto. What have we done? Number one, we have created what you have just shown, innovative. Government cannot employ everybody leaving our universities. So many Kenyans must go to the private sector. Some should go to innovation. You yourself have shown it. In the housing sector, we have already employed, the people who have already employed are about 240,000. But what have we done? We must configure our education system. Today, if you go to our universities, the people who get C, C+, even B, there are many who are going to the TVETs because what is available in the market is more of a practical jobs, plumbers, engineers. When you have a problem in your own house, we want to have more Kenyans with motorbikes who can rush to any household, fix the little problem. There are courses that our children were going through. So unemployment is a serious issue. Labor migrations, how many governments have we signed labor migration with? And please don't say Kenyans are fleeing. When people flee, it's like when you flee from Goma. You become a refugee. Labor migration is not fleeing from your country. Labor migration, even you, I mean, you worked for CNN, am I right? Yeah. Or are you fleeing?
No.
No, you didn't flee Kenya.
I didn't flee.
There are many Kenyans who work, your colleagues who work for international media. I mean, some of them are members of parliament, like Mohamed Ado. So Kenyans are not fleeing. Only that President Ruto's administration has created a very conducive environment by signing a number of labor agreements. The countries that have the highest, for example, I'll give you.
Okay, wait.
Let me give you.
Because you said conducive.
Saudi Arabia, there are 650,000 Kenyans working in Saudi Arabia.
500,000 plus?
Yes. There are about 70,000 working in UAE. There are about 30 or 40,000 working in Qatar. I'm picking only 3 countries. In fact, if you go to the airport in Doha, and please,
we've been. It's Kenyans everywhere.
It's Kenyans.
Immigration.
So imagine.
Customs.
So how do you secure and safeguard their interests? You do it, which has never been in any administration. You do it by signing labor agreements.
Yeah, but what are we sending? Are we sending maids? Are we sending drivers?
Jeff, if I may ask, because he raised the issue of conducive, right? So this government is pushing a labor export agenda.
No.
You have the private sector, FKE, Federation of Kenya Employers, say the private sector is shrinking. People are being declared redundant, are being laid off. What is the government doing to provide a conducive business environment internally to create jobs?
You know, I don't know why you're picking only on FKE. And your story, the leader of the workers in our country said that is propaganda.
But he didn't say what he was basing that on. FKE says we have gotten figures from our members.
Olive,
Atwoli does not tell us why, on what basis is disputing those figures.
I'm just saying, the story we watched had 2 sides. You're picking on FKE.
No, I've asked.
You know, I am not.
What is the government doing? No, what is the government doing? No, but you do sit in cabinet. You're defending
yes.
government policy.
Now let me answer your question.
Yes.
In a different way, because you are very selective. Atwoli and I think Jacqueline Mugo should go and harmonize their thoughts and tell us what is the correct position. But let me tell you, the biggest contributors, both in terms of unemployment and resilience to our economy, is the small, medium sector, the informal sector. And that's why you see our country, even during the post-election violence, when there are serious economic shocks in the country, our economy still remains strong. It's because of the small, medium. Now, the people you're talking about are the big corporates. Then you must analyze how many are leaving the country, okay? How many tech companies, how many other companies and manufacturing companies are coming in? You know, when you show the country the one-side story, I think a very reputable media house, and even me as a cabinet minister, I need to know and ask the Minister for Trade and Investment, for example. Please tell us, these 2 companies have declared redundant. How many other companies are setting foot in our country? Then we make a balance. There are many, many companies that are coming to our region in the economic free zones. Please walk. How come we had one, I think 1 or 2 economic zones, export economic zones, special economic zones in our country? Today you have how many? 10 coming up. We have the aggregation industrial parks in 24 counties.
Okay, let me ask you this real quick. Out of the 4 million jobs promised
it still comes back
2022,
to that.
It's 2.5 years later, right? How many have you created? Give us a number.
About you know, the Ministry of...
give us a number.
No, the Ministry of National Treasury can give us the number. But I can tell you, we have created both direct and indirect employment. We have not reached the 4 million. I mean, let's be very honest. But this administration has created a more conducive environment, created more jobs, reconfigured our education model, created more practical and technical jobs and students to come from our TVETs than any other administration.
But you know what? If you had created that many jobs, you would be singing the praises. You would be.
No.
You'd be preaching from the mountaintop.
No. You know, let me tell you, Jeff, and this is why I think integrity and honesty of leaders is very important in our country. You know, for example, and the facts and figures, I mean, government must be criticized. It's world over. I mean, if you watch CNN, 3 of the 4 stories they show you are not in favor of government, but they back it with facts and figures, not, like the 10 billion something you have said.
No, but that's the thing.
No.
You keep disputing figures, like the 10 billion. Sam Gituku tells us, I got these figures from here. You're telling us about 2 billion, right? In terms of employment, you're saying, okay, FKE are telling us these are the redundancies, but companies have come in. And Jeff has repeatedly asked you, out of the promised jobs, can you then tell us how many jobs have been created? Because you can't you can't dispute figures without presenting your own alternative facts.
Don't push me into your corner and the narrative you want to. This guy knows me. I have told you, this administration, and I've given you the sectors. We remodeled our education system. We created more TVETs, more practical. We have signed more labor migration agreements with foreign governments. There are more Kenyans going out on decent jobs through and secured by their bilateral agreement mobility about migration.
What kind of jobs?
So, than any other administration. But what I'm saying is, and it's something I'm asking you, how do you show a news item where the leader of the workers' union umbrella body, KOTU, and the FKE who represent the factories and the employers are telling the country a different position? And by the way, I don't know, they used to be bedfellows. I don't know what happened of late.
Well, you should tell us. You should know.
No, it is you.
You should know.
You always call my good friend Francis here. You should the next bench, Wednesday.
Yes.
Call Jacqueline Mugo and Atwoli. Francis Atwoli.
In the meantime,
I know Atwoli will come, but I don't know about Jacqueline Mugo.
In the meantime, I think you should have some water. You're sweating a bit.
No, I'm not. Yeah. That's what you want to create. I am very good, man. Ready for the next question. What is the next question?
We're going to take a break right now. Sunday Live. I'm telling you, this is really live stuff. You can't make this stuff up. We're going to take a break, come back, plenty more ahead. And the CS, Aiden Dwale, environment, climate change, forestry, is still here with us.
He had something to say about one of our tags the other day.
He did, huh?
Yeah, on the census, Garissa.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to ask him.
The question of what
you have to apologize before you ask.
We'll come back with that. Yeah.
You saw my tweet.
I saw your tweet.
You can't call the 3 counties of Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Jeff, Somali region. Somali region is in Ethiopia.
Very good point. It's a very good point. Yes.
That's why
you made a good, and we stand corrected. We're not perfect.
You must also follow your. I mean, you have got very good audience in Northern
Indeed.
Northern
Keep tweeting at Queen Anga Jeff.
At Barros, at Citizen TV.
At Aden Dwale.
Hashtag is Sunday Live.